Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump won the election on November 8th, 2016. Millions of people were prevented from voting by rules that date back to the Civil War. No votes from felons. Democrats and Republicans are the two main political groups in the U.S. Hillary Clinton represented the Democrats in the 2016 presidential election. About 6.1 million felons, or people who were once convicted of breaking laws, could not vote. There are laws that keep them from voting. According to the numbers from Florida, Wisconsin, and Michigan, Hillary Clinton lost by a number of votes smaller than the number of felons not allowed to vote. Many of these felons might have voted for Clinton. Electoral College explained. Clinton won at least 1 million more votes than Donald Trump, the Republican candidate, but she lost the Electoral College. This system gives each state a number of votes depending on how many people live there. States with more people get more votes. Still, states with fewer people have more power. Even the smallest states get at least 3 electoral votes. Vermont is one such state. California, for example, gets 55 votes. It is more than 18 times as many votes. However, it has more than 18 times as many people in Vermont. Each state chooses electors to cast the votes for their state. There are 538 electoral votes for the country in total. The candidate who wins the most electoral votes in the country wins the election. This second election will take place on December 19th. It is unusual for the winner in a presidential election to win the Electoral College, but not also win the popular vote. The popular vote is the total number of votes by citizens in the country who are allowed to vote. The last time this happened was during the hotly contested 2000 presidential election. Republican George W. Bush won the Electoral College. He defeated Democrat Al Gore, who won the popular vote. History of racism. James Madison was one of the founders of the Constitution. In 1787, he introduced the idea of the Electoral College. The North had higher numbers of white men who could vote than the South did at that time. Black people who were slaves could not vote. There were many of them living in the South, though. Madison was on the side of the white slave-owning Southerners. He wanted to increase their ability to control the government and the laws. The Electoral College would give them that control. Juan Perea is a law professor at Loyola University, Chicago. He's an expert in the Constitution. Perea says that these past laws may have helped elect Trump. Perea talked about the history in America of preventing black people from voting. It started when Southern states resisted the ending of slavery. They formed the Confederacy following the 1860 election of Abraham Lincoln. Then came the Civil War. After the Confederacy lost the war in 1865, the U.S. passed the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. This made slavery illegal in this country. There was one catch, though. The blacks who had been enslaved could only be free if they had not committed a crime. By 1869, 29 states had enacted laws to make it impossible for blacks convicted of just a small crime to vote. Color coding the candidates. Perea believes these laws contributed to Clinton's loss. Trump supporters are mostly white. Perea says the election of Barack Obama, the first black president, felt threatening to many white Americans. He thinks many people do not understand the deep history of American racism. Florida has some of the strictest voting rights policies. 1 in every 4 black people there cannot vote because they committed a crime. There has been a movement for a national popular vote interstate compact that has gained support since Gore lost in 2000. New York overwhelmingly agreed in 2014 to join 9 other Democratic states and Washington, D.C. Together, they have 165 electoral votes. If they gain a total of 270, the majority needed to elect a president, the nation will move to a popular vote.